Hey, West Virginia. Welcome to our series 55 Counties, 55 Voices, where we explore each county with its own people, its own stories, and its own heartbeat. I'm Corey.
And I'm Kelsey, and we are the hosts of Almost Heaven, Always Us.
And in this series, we'll be traveling across the Mountain State, meeting the people who make West Virginia what it is, one county at a time.
From small business owners to community leaders, from local legends to everyday folks with incredible stories. You're about to hear from the real voices of West Virginia.
This is 55 Counties, 55 Voices. Let's hit the road. Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of our series 55 Counties, 55 Voices. And today we're joining you from Pendleton County, West Virginia.
Yeah, we are so excited to share our interview with Annie Humes, who works for the Pendleton County Convention and Visitors Bureau.
And stay tuned until after the interview where we'll share some personal stories and insights from Pendleton County. Welcome to Almost Heaven, Always Us. I'm Corey.
I'm Kelsey.
And today we have a guest with us.
I'm Annie Humes, here in Pendleton County.
All right, and today we're doing something new. We've teased it a little bit, and we're actually doing it. We're going around and doing our 55 counties that we wanted to do. We're visiting each county one at a time, and while we do so, we wanted to stop in and visit with somebody and talk to somebody who knows a lot about the county, who embodies the spirit of the county. And so today we have Annie. And Annie, what do you do here in the county?
I like to tell people I have a whole hat rack. So I do a couple of things. I help to run the farmers market that happens every year here in Franklin during the summer months. I've been working as a small business consultant coach with a lot of small businesses, not just in Pendleton, but kind of in the region. And since October, I have been acting as the CVB director for the county, which is a really fun job, being the tourism office.
Yeah, that would be.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yes.
We're going to get into a lot here. Before we get started, I just want to share real quick my passion for Pendleton County. I'm a big fan. My dad is from here. A lot of my family's from here. I started here for about a year. I was here. And then I moved to Grant County. So Grant County's home, but Pendleton County's my second home. That's what I tell everybody. And I still come back a good bit. I bring my men from church here to Seneca Rockside. Every year we do a retreat there. So we'll get into that a little later. But just thinking about Pendleton County and kind of the reason why I wanted to do it early on in the journey, because it's one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of good memories growing up here, spending time with my grandma, who just turned 99 a few days ago, and she's having a big party today.
Happy birthday, Grandma.
Robertson. Yeah, excited for that. But she would come get me a lot of times from my house. And I lived in Franklin Pike, so I was pretty close to the county line anyway. She would get me a lot, and she would bring me down here, and we'd hang out in Pendleton County. We'd go visit her siblings, and a lot. So we spent a lot of time in Ruddle initially, and but I always loved coming to Franklin. As I would get older, my uncle started a church in downtown Franklin, so I was up here pretty much every weekend. I was in Franklin, and of course, loved the natural beauty on the other side there, Seneca Rocks and Spruce Knob, and then my mom's husband, after her dad passed away when she remarried, he was from Pendleton County, and he's really close to the border of Virginia there. What's that, Highland County, right?
Highland County.
So I got to spend a lot of time on his farm growing up too, out there, and that's a beautiful area too. So pretty much the whole county. And then my dad is a painter, so we painted the whole county. So when I was with him in the summers, we pretty much hit every road, I think. So I like to consider it almost a second home to me. So it holds a special place in my heart for sure. I love Pendleton County, but that's a little bit of why I love Pendleton County for anyone who didn't know. But today we're going to get into it a little bit more, some things you might not know about Pendleton County.
Yeah, I'm sure you know a lot.
Well, I did want to say, I think I am so excited and honored that you guys thought it would be fun to have a conversation with me.
Absolutely.
And when you were doing your outreach, one of the things that I noticed, I wasn't, I was not the one who suggested me as a person to you guys.
Right.
Someone else did that.
Right.
And before we get into it, I just want to say the number of people who were suggested to you all, every single person on that list could fill a whole podcast episode. So if by the end of today, I have the experience with you guys to maybe start a podcast for all the stories of Pendleton County.
That would be amazing.
I would love to see that be
awesome.
something that we do in the future, because
Yes.
I am not from here, nor am I from Grant County. I've lived here since 2019, but I am in love.
And that's what we were looking for.
Well, so I'll just start off and say, when we did the outreach, I was expecting maybe like a couple comments. I thought we would probably be lucky to have 2 or 3 comments, and then I would probably have to twist somebody's arm to try to get them on here. Since we're up and coming, we're still growing, and I was blown away by the passion that people have in the county. I couldn't believe. I think it was up to like 65, 70 comments, something like that.
It was a lot.
And
a lot of passion.
I was like, wow, these people, they really love their county, which I don't blame them. I love it too. So that was awesome. I love that idea you have of maybe keeping the ball rolling after this, because we were like, man, we'll have to go back a couple more times, maybe. But whenever, I forget who it was that recommended you. I think they linked your name there, and I just clicked on it. But I saw that on, I think it was maybe a previous business you were doing, like Workman Works.
So Workman Works my middle name's Workman.
Okay.
And so that's why it's Workman Works. And that's my consulting company. It is me at my desk at my house while I'm homeschooling my son. And it's been like, I guess since 2022, it's really been working with smaller businesses, smaller organizations, doing whatever is the thing that's hard. You know, so some people that's been helping them set up the cash register point of sale. Other people it's building a business plan. I've done some stuff helping people come up with the layout for how they want their building to be built, and coming up with that kind of stuff. So my background is in hospitality and like specialty cute store management. So it's been a really great way to get to know people and find opportunities to just, you know, encourage people to do the thing that they have a vision for. It's a really rewarding kind of work.
And you can definitely tell you're hospitable. Like as soon as we got here, you're out there greeting us. You're so sweet. I can tell.
Yes. And so when I saw that, I think I might butcher the quote here, but it was something along the lines of, I found I never want to leave here home, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Is what I saw. And so instantly I said, I ran over to my wife, showed her the phone. I was like, here she is. This is who we're interviewing. Because I love people that have a passion for West Virginia and for their county. That really excites me, because I'm very passionate about West Virginia. So when I saw that, I said, yep, here we go. But no, like you said though, I recognize some of those names a little bit, but even some of what I was seeing on the comments, that they look like great people. So I'm sure any one of them would have been wonderful. But I'm really glad that we're here with you, and we're really honored that you decided to do it with us, especially since we're up and coming. So appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I love what you guys are doing. I think you know, podcasts that connect directly are great.
Yes, thank you. So what is your personal connection? I believe you mentioned your husband is from here?
Yes, I just got married in September. So we've been together since the beginning of 2020. And I was introduced to him by my friend who introduced me to the county. So I grew up in Virginia, about 2 hours east of here. And I had a very good friend from college who I will get into it later, but food is a huge passion of mine, like really, really huge. And so this is a friend who, you know, when we were in college, I had my first garden with her. Like she had grown up with a garden in her family, but that wasn't really as much as something that I grew up with. And that kind of connection to food and growing food and farms is always been a part of my relationship with her. And so I had come out a few times to visit her. She was the caretaker at the Sweetwater Farm, which is just south of Sugar Grove. And so her and her husband and her daughter were out there, and I was living in the city, and she was where I was taking my son when he was 2-3 years old, so that he knew what it was like to, you know, walk up to a cow and, you know, have those things not just be in a storybook. So yeah, in 2019, I was ready for a change. Rent was getting more expensive. I was working too many hours. And I stayed for a couple of weeks out with her, and that couple of weeks turned into more than a couple of weeks, turned into looking for an apartment. And fast forward, I met my now husband a little while later, and here we are.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I love that. That's a really good story.
Yep, very good. Yeah, so we wanted to, I believe I saw, I could be wrong, but I believe you do a little bit of planning for the Treasure Mountain Festival, is that right?
Yeah, so that is what's on this table here is
Okay.
part of that, and I'll get to that in a second. But so in 2021, I started working with the Pendleton County Farmers Market. And it is an awesome organization. I think this will be our 12th season. And it is just a source of joy. It's set up in a way where it doesn't matter how big, growing food or baking bread is in your life. It can be this much or it can be this much. It's set up so that people can come and be vendor there as much as they can. And so that market happens at the main Treasure Mountain building throughout the summer. And so the Treasure Mountain Festival has been supportive of that organization since they got going. So 2 years ago, there were a number of people involved in the leadership of Treasure Mountain who were really struggling to keep it up. They'd been doing their jobs there for 10, 15, 25, 30 years, and they were ready to retire. And I think, there is an older population here in Pendleton County, and one of the things I think is really important is to support people who are ready to retire. And find ways to help them have the time in their golden years that they want to have. And so because of my involvement in the farmers market, I said, well, these people have been so good to us. I need to go and see what I can do. And fast forward 2 years, and I'm part of the leadership there now. And it is such a lot of work. My goodness.
Oh, I can imagine.
It is incredible. This will be the 57th Treasure Mountain Festival coming up this fall. And I'm excited to be helping it. Encouraging people to do the things that they love to do that contribute to the festival. My personal favorite part is square dancing up in the town parking lot Friday and Saturday night. You will see me there.
That's awesome.
I will be out of breath.
It's been a while since I've done it, but I've been square dancing there. I love Treasure Mountain as a kid growing up. That was one of my highlights of the year. And I probably didn't miss it there as a kid and teenager, but we haven't been in a while. We need to get back.
I know,
It's probably been 10 years or so, but
Probably.
But as a teenager, I remember one year when school was starting back up in August, and I was kind of sad to go back to school, kind of depressed, and I said, I'm just gonna stay in here and sleep through September. And somebody said, you're gonna miss the Treasure Mountain Festival. Spruced me back up. I said, no way, I'm not missing the Treasure Mountain Festival. We got to get after it. But I always loved going to the parade and the square dance and the community. All my family was always up here for it on both sides, mom's side, dad's side. And grandma would be selling hot dogs out of the church's, whatever we want to call it there, the trailer there. And so I'd go up and visit her, and she might sneak me a hot dog and not charge me because she's cool like that. But it was just an awesome time. It's hard to even really capture it all and describe how wonderful it was. It's a huge childhood memory for me.
And it one of the things that's really true about it these days, because you do the same event for 57 years, it's not going to be the same one decade to the next, and it's changed and evolved. But one of the things that I have learned is that it is such a homecoming event for so many people. You know,
really is.
there are a lot of people kind of, in our generation, I think I'm older than you guys, but ish, that grew up here, have the same feeling of just love for being here. And Treasure Mountain is, for a lot of people, their annual, I'm going to make sure I get home moment. And that's a really, really great thing. And all the memories I hear people share about that, it doesn't matter how old somebody is, everybody in this county has a memory of the things, whether it was when they were 10 or 15 or 30, and whatever decade that happened in, that they say, oh, I always loved this part. It's really good stories are a big part of what Treasure Mountain holds.
Yes.
Absolutely.
This is the Treasure Mountain treasure that arrived at this office on Friday. So the previous secretary of the organization dropped by, and she's retired. She's one of the folks who is successfully retired from her duties. And she brought me this whole big box of photos, and so, all the way back to the early 70s
Wow.
of the festival. So
Yes, I'm loving this one right here. I always wanted my daughters to be a part of that, and it just never worked out. His grandmother even bought them little outfits for them to wear there, and it just never worked out that we could do it. So what is that called?
So the Heritage Pageant
Yes.
is part of the annual thing, and we have a couple of fantastic folks involved in it now who are very much not children. They are grown-ups who are really excited about the heritage dress part of it. So you will definitely see folks of all ages in their heritage costumes this fall. But, there's a couple pictures here where you have the same shot and you see it, year over year, all the ways that Main Street has changed, the businesses have evolved. And it connects to stories that I've heard, but seeing the pictures is wonderful.
I know. We'll have to get a few little clips of these.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's cool.
But the antique engines is still something that happens every year. I actually recently had a wonderful phone call. So this tourism office is a place that gets very interesting phone calls.
I'm sure.
Everything from folks calling to see if it's safe to drive when there's snow, and to things like this one gentleman who called, and he was from up in Pennsylvania, and he called because he is a antique engine enthusiast, and he had found this engine, and the reason he was calling us was because the engine was purchased in Franklin in 1918.
Wow.
So there was a business on Main Street that sold, the same way that your John Deere sales location or something, and he had gotten a hold of the catalog that it had been purchased from, and he wanted to know as much as he could know about this business that used to be here that sold these engines.
Yeah.
And so I was able to connect him with the Historical Society. And so the folks over at the Historical Society talked with him, pieced together the story. So now he's got the whole story of, the folks who were selling those engines. And he is inscribing on the back plate of the engine some information that's about that.
Yeah.
And then he'll be coming to Treasure Mountain. He really wants to come and have that engine here during Treasure Mountain.
That
that's
is really
awesome.
cool.
Yeah. So connecting those dots so that the stories get to go to the places where people want them.
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Speaking of tourism, I have to ask you, so we wanted to do another thing too, in addition to the 55 counties. We want to visit all of the Almost Heaven swings in West Virginia. So we started that this weekend. We've been to them before, but we're not counting those. We're started over. We started fresh. So we hit 4 of them this weekend. But what I want to know, I don't know who I have to talk to about this, but I don't know why Pendleton County doesn't have any. I can't understand that, because to be honest with you, some of the ones we went to yesterday, I said, if they deserve a swing, I don't know why Seneca Rocks or Spruce Knob doesn't have a swing. Cause...
I would love for us to have a swing. So I love those swings so much. And it's been really exciting getting, especially in the last 2 years, working with the local CVB and getting connected with the Department of Tourism at the state level. They have done such an incredible job of developing the Almost Heaven brand. And I really think I'm starting to see, especially being a border state so close to Virginia and Pennsylvania and Maryland, we have people coming here to visit who have this kind of big picture of, oh, West Virginia is this beautiful place.
Absolutely.
And so the work that the tourism department has done to make that into something that people in the surrounding region know is fantastic. Because growing up in Virginia, that is not what I knew about West Virginia until I got here.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my gosh. But the swings are a program of the Department of Tourism. They are not inexpensive. And so Pendleton County, despite being the home to such iconic places to come and visit, has a pretty small tourism budget. as people who've opened Airbnbs and things like that, our funding here at the CVB office is based on overnight lodging for people who are visiting.
Okay.
So as that has continued to grow, folks who live here all the time and have, a house that isn't their primary residence, doing Airbnbs, we're starting to see slightly larger amounts of funding. But that's an investment I would love to see us have.
Yeah.
And we are growing. I think I've recently spoken, done the annual reporting to the county and the town about the fact that tourism industry is growing in the county. And so an Almost Heaven swing would be a fantastic thing for us to be able to do in the next couple of years.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely have some good candidates of locations for it. That's
absolutely.
For sure. I know we come from Morgantown, so a lot of the people that we'll get in Morgantown, a good bit of them, like from our church, they'll be from other places, other states, and they come into Morgantown. That doesn't really give them the best picture of what West Virginia has to offer. So when I get to take my guys to Pendleton County, I basically claim it. I'm like, this is my area, okay? I'm going to show you what beauty is. We take them to Seneca Rocks, and just to see the way that they look at that area, even compared to Morgantown, which I think Morgantown's really pretty too, but to bring them to Seneca Rocks, it blows their mind every year. I love seeing it. I love bringing them there, and it's one of my highlights of the year, every year going there. But it's stunning. We had to stop today. We came from Charleston on the way here, and we're like, of course we have to stop and go get our picture. Even though we've done it 1,000 times, we got to get our picture with Seneca Rocks.
Absolutely.
You can't drive by and not stop, So just the natural beauty that's in this county, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of why you had such a long list of people who have stories, because I think that the people who live here know that this is a treasure. Know that this is a precious, beautiful place. I think that that's something that, it's a big part of what it feels like to get to know people here is that everyone knows what a wonderful treasure of a home they have, and that's fantastic.
Yes. And so speaking of like treasures, like little treasures, like small businesses, is what that we're interested in. Because we try to find just little places that maybe nobody has really heard of. And maybe I was just looking at this place. I'm like, this is somewhere that I would like to go, elevated grounds. So just like small businesses that are around, any that you can think of right now, that would be good places for people to stop on their way through.
Well, I will say this. There are no national chain businesses operating in Pendleton County. So every single business that you visit in Pendleton County is a mom and pop business, is a locally owned to one degree or another business that's gonna, it's not McDonald's.
Yeah.
So Elevated Grounds is fantastic. They just had their 1-year anniversary. They're right down in downtown Franklin. They're a coffee shop.
That's what I love.
They are fantastic folks. It's a young couple. Their sons and my son play soccer together, and they'll they'll close for an hour to go to a basketball game and then get back up and running.
Yeah.
So they're fantastic folks. I worked with them when they were getting off the ground to kind of make sure that they had their heads around everything, which was a fantastic. I'd take zero credit for how successful they've been. I give that all to Kevin and Tiffany Rawson. But I think there are too many. I can't pick any.
There are so many.
I think that if you've never been here, you're gonna go to Seneca Rocks. If you go to Seneca Rocks, you have to go to the Harper's and the Yoakum stores that are right there.
Yeah.
So those are both family-run businesses. The Harper's store is one of the oldest continuously operated stores in the state. And those are both still being run by the families that open them up. So those are fantastic places. I don't know. There are too many.
Yeah.
But we could have more.
Yes. And maybe that'll be something that you cover if there might be a podcast in your future.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, a lot of good topics to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think tourism seems to me like it's really important for the future of the state. And I think that you tend to agree. Well, what can we do as just regular people, in the state and the county to try to encourage these small businesses and the tourism?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the thing I like to tell people, and I just actually got to go up last week and speak with there's a brand new course at the technical school, the VOTEC in Grant County, where kids from the high school in both counties can go and take classes. This year is the first year that there is a hospitality and tourism management course being offered. So if you know young people, encourage them to go take that class. I know the teacher, she's fantastic.
Well, that's exciting. I had no idea.
That's really cool.
But the thing that I talk to the students that are in this year's class, very first class, about is you are the expert. If you live here and you have your memories of the place, same way you're doing with your church guys, you know that you have something special to share with them. And I think that that's really a huge part of what makes people fall in love with a place to go when they're traveling or taking a long weekend. And, Pendleton County is a place that people come to unplug, to be not just with the natural beauty, but also with face-to-face relationships and face-to-face interactions. And when you don't have cell service and you can't look it up on Google Maps and you ask somebody where to go for this or that, I would love to see people realize how meaningful it is to a visitor when you say, oh, let me tell you, it's down here. I'll give you the directions. This is the thing I always get when I go there. That those kinds of moments make such an impression on people when they're visiting. It makes
personal.
It makes being in a place that maybe you came because you wanted to see Spruce Knob and you want to go to the highest point in the state, but then before you leave you have realized that there's a lot more, and the people who you interact with, whether that's on the street or at the gas station or wherever, that's where those things happen.
Yes.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah, you can have all the natural beauty in the world, but it's really the people that make the difference, isn't it, when you go to communities like this? And Pendleton County definitely has a great community. All my memories of it anyway. Just great people to be around. I know something I wanted to ask that's kind of related. So I think Pendleton County, like a lot of other counties in the state, has probably a similar, I don't want to say issue, but young people tend to leave, right? So I guess what would the future be like here in Pendleton County for young people? What kind of future?
That's definitely real here. So at present, the county has around 6,000 permanent residents. 10, 15, I guess that's the 2020 census. The previous census, it was almost double that. So one thing that is definitely a very real challenge is that it is a big place that is very spread out. That 6,000 people are not all here in Franklin, and then it's just wilderness around. It is a lot of people living out all around the county. And that, a lot of people have left. A lot of people have, grew up here, went to college, and have found somewhere else to call home. Things like work with tourism or other outdoor management, whether that's farm or natural resource type management. I think that those are really incredible ways to keep working in a place that you want to stay. But I think that it's also making sure that the people who are growing up here know what there is that makes it a place to want to stay. And that doesn't happen all at once. But the more time that, I try really hard with my son to get him out into the woods and out onto farms and swimming in the river and things like that, where I think it's important that those memories get connected to like those deep feelings that you have as a child.
Yeah.
And another thing that I have noticed is folks who grew up here and have lived farther away, whether that's in another state or in Morgantown or wherever, moving home. You know, I know a number of people who are in their later 30s or early 40s who have moved home in the last couple of years. So that's something, one of the big factors around why that's happening is the improvement in internet access.
Okay.
Oh,
So
sure, yeah.
Pendleton County historically has had very low quality internet access, lots of outages, lots of issues. Between Starlink and fiber optic broadband initiatives that have gone on in the last 5 years. I think really COVID kind of made that happen, not just here, in a lot of the more remote parts of the state. So you have folks who are able to work remotely,
Yes.
or who are able to work partly remotely and go to an office some of the time. So that's an area where I hope that folks can, you know, settle here as home and then work creatively.
Absolutely. That's my desire as well. I was thinking about
it
that.
is.
Like, tourism and I think the remote work. I think that's two big things. And I've noticed that trend a little bit too, because we're from Petersburg and we've heard of friends and stuff returning back to Petersburg. So there's definitely a trend going on there, and I like that. So hopefully that continues and we get everybody back. But I think those roots are deep. We were at the State Museum yesterday, and that's what it talked about, just the deep roots. And I think those roots never really leave, no matter where you go. I see it all the time where people say, you know, West Virginia is always home no matter where I go. But a lot of times they'll say, I wish I could go back if it was, you know, X, Y, Z. But I think we're getting there. We're getting there with the internet, like you said, and making improvements. So it's happening, and I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the future, for the state. Yeah.
And the more we've talked to you, I have no doubts that we have picked the perfect person. Oh my gosh, you are so knowledgeable. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. Well, I knew just from your profile and your online presence. I'm like, oh my gosh, you were just the absolute perfect person. I'm very proud that we were able to talk to you today.
Well, I'm delighted to share. I'm certainly a person who, when I fall in love with something, I end up knowing a lot about it.
Yes, you do.
I've also done that with cheese. And previous lives, you know, if you know anybody with a food podcast, I could go on that too. But, you know, it was when I first was really reflecting on moving here permanently. I would go over into Virginia to visit my mom, and I'd come back and I'd crest Shenandoah Mountain, and my whole body would just. And so for me, there was a lot more than just thinking that went into saying, yeah, this is where I want to be home at.
Yeah, because that's a big life change.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've been welcomed, and I love it. So.
Very good. I think we got a little bit of a speed round. We're going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Oh, okay.
With, some kind of rapid fires. And I think the first one, it's probably going to be tough for you.
It might.
Your favorite place to eat.
Oh, that's tough. Aside from at home with my family, I think the peanut special at the corner shop.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Can't beat it.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that. Have you heard of that?
I haven't.
Oh, see, there's the little treasures that we're looking for.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Go
And we need,
grab one.
Yeah.
We need somebody to buy the restaurant that was previously Thompson's. And I think it's been through numerous owners and name changes, but for me, it will always be Thompson's. So.
Yeah.
And it's an IGA up here on the hill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It always will.
It's
That's
T&K
right.
Market. Corey is fantastic.
What was the
All
next
right. A hidden gem. So I believe there's many.
Okay, hidden gem. I am partial to the drive out the Thorn Creek Road. There is a native trout conservation area there. I live at one end of Thorn Creek Road, so I get to do it a lot. But it is just one of the most picturesque little drives.
Wow, and that was another question we were going to ask, like a good place to go through and see like a sunset.
Oh, okay. So that's like in a hollow. So that's not a good sunset place. I really love a sunset from Harmon Rocks, which is up on North Mountain. So really anywhere along the North Fork Mountain Trail. It's where I went on my first date with my husband.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's adorable. I love that.
and not to get off topic, but I think she told me that you guys might have talked. Did you keep your husband here? Did I hear that he was
Oh
maybe
yeah.
considering?
Well, yes. So, my good friend, who's why I moved here, introduced me to my now husband, and at the time he was very much contemplating whether he wanted to stay here or move somewhere else, and we'd been seeing each other for a few months, and I made it very clear to him that if this was going to go anywhere, it was going to go right here.
I love it.
I know.
That's awesome.
That is very cool.
Yep. And he is a lifelong.
Yeah, he's born and raised here.
Yep.
His family moved here in the early 70s. So he's got ties to other areas in the region when you go further back. But it's incredible. He actually has a number of aunts and uncles who've also retired here after living elsewhere.
Oh,
so we
cool.
have kind of this wonderful family group now.
That's awesome.
Love it.
The next question was going to be festival. I think we already know the answer, right? Maybe not.
Is it?
Well, if you're really itching to get to a festival, the next festival coming up is the West Virginia Trout Fest, which will be the first weekend of May, which is really fun. They do a trout rodeo. It's down in Franklin. Lots of good stuff happens there, but my special festival space in my heart is definitely for the Treasure Mountain Festival, which is the third week of September every year.
Nice. Very good.
Yes.
My family will definitely be here. I think we're going to try to be here.
Yeah, you should come.
I know. We really
Maybe do
need
some
to.
interviews with people.
That'd be a good
Yes.
time to do it.
It would be.
Yep. My brother-in-law, he'll be here selling barbecue. Yeah.
Yep, that's what he does.
Meadowbrook Farms barbecue.
Okay.
So we're excited. They're excited. If Pendleton County had a motto, and maybe it does, and I don't know it, but if
slogan.
it had a slogan, what would it be?
What would you make it?
Turning it around.
Oh man, I don't know. I'd probably have to do something with the beauty. I mean, the natural beauty.
I think it's, closest to heaven, maybe.
There you go. I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
All of West Virginia is almost heaven, but we're
This
close.
is the
Closest.
closest to heaven.
That's perfect.
With Spruce Knob.
Yes.
Technically.
Yes.
There you
that's
go.
That's it right there.
That's it.
That's perfect. Nice one. Is there anything else you want to share with us today?
Well, it's just been a privilege to get to spend part of my Sunday talking about something that I just, there's so much joy in it for me. Please do interview other people from here, because there are thousands of hours of stories that I could never reproduce.
Yes.
And yeah, if you know folks who have never been here, come. Folks, come.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm gonna direct them this way for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And we have a website here for the CVB. It's pendletoncountywv.com. The local Chamber of Commerce has a website that has community events. They're the hosts for Trout Fest coming up, so they've got all sorts of great stuff on that. It's pendletonchamber.com.
Yeah. Well, I think I just have one last question. Is this pop or soda?
It's definitely not Coke.
There you go. That's what they call it where you're from, right? Or where
Yeah.
you're originally from. Coke?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, pop in Pittsburgh, soda in Virginia, Coke when you get down south, and nothing makes sense.
That's good.
Yep.
That's good.
I think most people's been telling us pop, so I guess we'll have to go with pop.
Shopping cart or buggy?
Oh yeah.
Shopping cart.
Me too. I say shopping cart.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people say buggy though, where we've been in West Virginia.
Interesting.
But it's shopping cart.
Okay. One last question.
Okay.
Are there any cryptids in Pendleton County?
Oh,
that we don't know
interesting.
about?
That is a good question. There's certainly some chitter chatter on Facebook where I've seen some cryptids being suggested. I don't know how much tenure they've had. They might only be 6 months old, but who knows? Stories start all sorts of ways. There are certainly some children in Pendleton County who do an excellent job at Halloween of depicting cryptids. I know a few of them.
Oh,
Very
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Annie, we sure appreciate you coming on here today.
Yeah. Thank you,
And
guys.
if you love West Virginia as much as we do, you need to come. If you haven't been to Pendleton County yet, you need to come here. You got to check
For
it out.
sure. It's a must.
For sure, it's a must. But also, if you love Pendleton County, keep on following along as we visit the other counties, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
See ya. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that interview. And now, as promised, some personal stories and insights from Pendleton County.
Yes.
Well, one of the reasons we picked Pendleton County to go first was because it shares a special place in my heart. In particular, growing up just a few miles from the Pendleton County line, myself there in Grant County on Franklin Pike, and have lots of family members in Pendleton County. I spent a lot of time there growing up, a lot of weekends, a lot of summers. My dad, many people probably know in Pendleton County, Ronnie Kimball, and his painting business. So while I was painting with him in the summers, we got to spend a lot of time. I think we pretty much hit every road you could hit in Pendleton County,
Yeah, I think
painting.
so.
And even when we pass through today, I point to buildings often and say, "Hey, me and Dad, we painted that one. Don't I? Still give that to you." Yep. So, and then my mom also had a lot of family up there. My grandma lived up there for many years, and my pap in Sugar Grove, and we went and visited his farm a lot there. And my great grandma lived up there. Yeah, out there, close to the drive-in. I forgot to mention the drive-in in the interview.
Drive-in.
How many weekends did I spend at the drive-in growing up? So many weekends, and the drive-in's still there, still thriving from what I can tell. That's awesome that they get to bring in good movies on a huge screen like that. It's awesome that they still get to do that. But that's a lot of nostalgia for me. Just we drove by it after the interview on our way home, and I just think back to all the times as a kid and teenager. It was always more than a movie. It's just the whole atmosphere of being at the drive-in at the time. And you were there with me a few times too.
Maybe one or two times.
Oh, is that it? Only one or two?
I think so.
Wow. I would have thought more than that.
I know. I wish it was more than that, but
Yeah, it was an awesome time. And I have another story for you. So one time when I was a teenager, I was at the Brandywine Lake, and my stepbrother and me and someone else we were with, we decided to swim across the lake. And I wasn't a great swimmer, so it probably wasn't a wise idea.
Yeah.
But we did it and got to a point where I was pretty much exhausted and ready to go, but it was too far. It was too far gone. You couldn't go back. It was more distance back
That's
than
really
across.
sad.
So I said, "It's sink or swim, baby." So I swam to the other side. We all did. And we all just kind of laid down once we got on the shore and just
Oh my gosh.
exhausted. But we made it. We lived. So almost died in Pendleton County, but hey, as Annie said, you're almost to heaven. So it wasn't that far off, especially for me that day. Heaven wasn't too far off.
If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space.
That's right. We used to go there all the time though, to Brandywine Lake area, and we
I
did
was there once.
We camped there. Yeah, it's a nice place to camp. But and we talked about with Annie already. Seneca Rocks, go there all the time with the guys, and Spruce Knob. And I've told the story before, but I'll tell it again just for fun. The one year we went to Spruce Knob, and I was really hyping it up. The highest point in West Virginia, and I took my guys up there to the top, all the way to the top. And this was September, the last weekend in September, and it was a really rainy weekend.
Yeah.
And we got to the top, and you could see absolutely nothing. You could see about
That's really sad.
8 feet in front of you, and that was it, because it was so rainy and foggy and cold. It was September, but it was a cold, rainy September
That's
weekend.
how it always goes.
We weren't really prepared for it because it wasn't really winter yet, and I don't know, our bodies hadn't adjusted. We weren't really wearing the right clothes, and we were like freezing to death up there and couldn't see anything. So it didn't turn out too great. So I'm gonna have to take them another time where we can see it. But.
Yeah.
And then Seneca Caverns. I haven't been there since I was a kid, and I want to go back because that's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, that would be good for the
are really
kids.
nice. Have you been to Seneca Caverns?
No.
Oh wow! Well, I'll have to take you.
I know, that's really
I'll have
embarrassing,
to take
isn't
you.
it?
Yeah.
All
we'll
these
definitely
very
go.
things that are so close.
And I think it was
Where
closed
we
for
were
a while.
at.
I believe it was
Oh,
closed for a
closed.
while, but I think it reopened. I'm not sure. We'll find out.
Oh,
But
interesting.
if it is reopened, we'll go. Yeah, what else? I think the other connections we had, I had a lot of friends in Pendleton County, some from Pendleton County High School, some from our own Petersburg High School, but they came from Circleville. There was a time where they had their own school over there on that side,
Yeah,
and then
small
that school
school.
closed down, and they started busing them into
That's
Petersburg.
a far bus
That's
ride.
a nice ride there, isn't it? So I think, I don't know about you, I made quite a few friends
I did too.
when they came over from the Circleville area,
I did.
and they ended up being really cool people. So I had a lot of friends, and then I had a lot of friends in Pendleton High School, Pendleton County High School as well.
I did not have any friends from Pendleton.
Yeah, but yeah, I got to give a special shout out to Jaquan Willis. I think he's everybody's friend. I don't think that he met a person that wasn't his friend. He didn't have acquaintances like most of us do. He just had friends because everybody he met, he became friends with. And obviously, you know him. He was in our wedding.
Yes, he was.
He was in our wedding, and we had a lot of good times. Met him up at church up there, and we got to do a lot of cool things together as teenagers. I remember he came to Morgantown one time. We drove out to Morgantown, like when we were teenagers, before college and everything. We didn't stay super close as we got older, and that's probably my fault because life got busy and had kids.
And we moved away.
But obviously he passed away, and that was tragic for everybody. But I think seeing the Facebook comments and things just was really eye-opening on how many people he affected. He had so many.
He was very loved. He loved.
Because he was loved.
He loved people.
He loved so many people. He just poured himself into everybody else, and that's why I said he never had any acquaintances.
Yeah.
Because he just made everybody a friend, and I don't know how he did it. I mean, I don't know how he had that much time in the day to make everybody a friend like that, but he did, and so he was very loved, and very missed on it.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to give a special shout out to him since we're visiting Pendleton County, and then we miss him. We miss him for sure. Anything else about Pendleton County before we sign off?
Well, I didn't go there very much, but my favorite thing about Pendleton County was the bowling alley, food specifically, and the fact that they still have roller skating there available. And I don't know where else there's roller skating. Well, there is some in Fairmont that is relatively new, a newer place. But I thought that was really cool, and the food's really good. They still don't take credit cards. You gotta have cash.
As far as we know, it's been a while, so who knows?
It's been a
might have
while,
changed.
but make sure you have cash when you go. But it's worth it. It is very much worth it. Mozzarella sticks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely for sure.
Definitely 10
So
out of
good.
10 on those mozzarella sticks.
10 out of 10.
But yeah, I don't have that much experience.
Yeah. Well, I think that probably about sums it up. But if you've never been to Pendleton County, you got to go visit, especially the natural beauty. And you should probably go. I shouldn't say probably. You should go.
Yeah.
You should go to the Treasure Mountain Festival. The festival is awesome. You'll have a good time. I always had a great time there. And yeah, what can I say? What else can I say other than I like the passion of the people of Pendleton County when we visited? Oh, one more thing. My relative, Hilda Judy, she sent me a picture of my great-grandfather.
Oh, yes.
And he had the first car in Pendleton County, and it's a picture of him and his wife. And I'm not exactly sure who the other two is.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to have to educate me. But there's a picture of them in the car, the first car in Pendleton County. I mean, that's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
My grandma, who just turned 99, of course, we talked about, I know that she never left the county for the first, I forget what she told me, something crazy, like 18 years or something before she left the county. And then to think that they had the first car in Pendleton County, that was pretty neat. That really opened up doors for them, I would imagine, as far as being from Ruddle and kind of secluded. And then having a car, you could do a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy to think. And there's so many good things like that story, so many other good stories. So I'm excited that Annie may be taking the opportunity to get some of those, some of those stories on camera. And she's doing a great job. And another shout out to her. We thank her so much for joining us, for being crazy enough to join us too.
No, she was great.
That's a bold move.
I loved our conversation.
She was amazing, and we really appreciate her. And I can't wait to come back. And not sure which county we'll hit next, but follow along if you like this series, and we'll highlight another county next time.
Yep.
And for now, hey, if you love West Virginia as much as us, go ahead and do all the things: the subscribe, the likes, the share, and if you're from another county, go ahead and tell us who to come talk to and where to visit, because I'll be honest with you, the other counties we may not know as well. Pendleton County is one we know very well.
There are many we don't know.
There's a few we know very well, but there's a lot more that we don't. So help us out. All right, we'll see you guys later. Thanks.
Bye.